All right, friends, welcome. This is our first little Daggerheart session. I'm excited.
Woohoo, me too.
So there are a few curveballs, although this isn't quite live television. It is certainly real television. So our assistant producer had a very big thing happen, and so he's okay himself, but he was not able to be with us today. I'm always kind of careful about speaking too much on that. Let people say what they'd like, but so Justin is going to be running the show literally from inside of the room. Yay! Which was not the intent. I'm sure you'll be perfectly relaxed and it won't impact your gaming at all.
It'll be fine.
But we had to make some adjustments. So, one thing we found out was that the sound was not working without the GM screen. So even though for Daggerheart it was my preference to just kind of let y'all see my, rolling chaos back here, and also, just a different vibe. For production purposes, it's probably going to stay up at least for now until we figure out some better way around that. I'm not going to be able to stand up today. Well, I do have legs, so I can stand. But if I stand up, it'll chop my head off, and then we try to do the full shot, and I look like a Kithki from the other campaign. So so we're just going to have to make do here. If and when we get to a combat, then we're going to be doing it a little more theater of the mind than I had anticipated. That's okay. I'm still, I wanted to try out the little atom nucleus electron thing and see if that worked or not, but we can do that next session.
Or it pens a dagger.
All right. Or pens a, right.
It turned into a LARP all of a sudden. Everyone's standing up and attacking each other.
Told you want my long arm.
So, let's see. Okay, great. Justin, because I owed you some chips. We are using these. We're seeing if these chips work. We have red for life. We have green for armor, and we have the blue for stress. I kind of think of blue as mana, and then the white tokens are going to be hope.
Can I have extra stress just this one session?
Yeah, take a stress off the bat. We're trying to run this.
Stress, right. And then when the players take them off of the mats, so the blue should be on there. When the players take them off the mats, this was actually Caitlin's idea, they're expended. So
blues are off because these are stress. So I'm not stressed, so they're not on the mat. I'll put them on when I take a stress.
You want to do it that way?
That's what we had said.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that? I mean, as long as that makes sense.
Things that are on the mat are in play. So
I'm taking a
I
stress.
have 2 hope right now. They're here. I have this much armor, this much health, and then I have no stress right now. And when I have stress, there will be stress on the mat.
Okay.
And just to be clear, this is for the characters, not the players. So.
Well, we'll
Justin's
see.
player stress is through the roof.
Yeah. However, okay, if that makes sense.
Okay. I'm gonna get confused by that, so I'm just gonna start with everything's on the mat, and then.
Okay.
I know. I'm gonna be different.
No worries.
I'm wearing blue, so
No, well,
I gotta do something.
I am too. Okay, as long as it makes sense to y'all, I am fine with that. There are other tables where I would have had a different approach, but I do not think this table is going to be pulling shenanigans. So.
Yeah, I love the verbiage, like taking a stress. Like I am taking a stress into my world. And that's the world.
Yeah, and I wanted to see if we could avoid, I don't know, because we're kind of leaning into the whole token physical representation thing, and I have a little surprise. You've already seen it the last. You faraway friends have already seen it the last time. Oh, all right. So welcome officially, and I still don't really have a spiel for this one. It feels a little weird to just reverberate what I do on the first table, but.
I just met you. That sounds not like you at all.
We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. All right. When we finished session 0, we had established a few things. That there had been a huge, I think, Melissa, you called it like a quasi-apocalypse or a kind of sort of magical apocalypse where the magic had been terribly scrambled.
Call it a social apocalypse.
Social, absolutely. Well, it absolutely was a social apocalypse because the magic in this world ran so much, and
And that's not a metaphor for what's going on at all right now.
Not at all.
We would never.
So the elves' place in the hierarchy of things has been totally disrupted. Although 3 weeks after the reckoning, it looks like there's a certain momentum, but that's coming to a close. Here's what I'll say about the language too. I know I was going to say I was going to do a reveal this session, but you would already know this. Three weeks in, all the languages of the world, and this is per the rulebook, all the languages of the world, and my explanation for it, have vanished. And all of you suddenly can understand everyone. And there's no more explanation for that than there is for why magic that's worked for the last 40,000 years plus suddenly doesn't.
Does that affect our...
So you can have
with the memory of our language. Ooh, I think we talked about that.
Absolutely.
Like memory of our language. Yeah.
No, it does, Audrey. It does. So you can have whatever accent, like in the first table, I'm super strict about where people come from, even though like I fail at this all the time, but like I try really hard to make certain, regions sync up with certain accents, et cetera, et cetera. In this, it's all over the place. So, maybe the default is still that people speak in certain regions, or maybe not. Maybe it's just completely scrambled now.
Yeah, especially it's good to know, because in terms of being underborn in my education, if I ever interact with an elf, I love knowing that we're going to understand each other, and that's not going to bridge the language barrier.
At least from a language barrier perspective, yes. Now, from a cultural perspective, that's a whole in equine of a different color. In best Daggerheart fashion, who wants me to pick up their thread first? Because we're gonna do 4 quick threads, and then we're gonna weave them together as you come together in Lord Theodulf's audience chamber.
I'm gonna watch from afar, so someone else go first.
I'll start. Why not?
Okay. You're already in the palace, Marlo. Where are you? Where would you be at this moment? And let's say that the meeting is at High Sun.
If there's like an atrium or somewhere where I'm taking in the things that are going outside, but from
Surely there would be. Surely there would be.
Somewhere where it's quiet, there aren't other elves around, I'm thinking, reflecting, and taking in the city of Haven around me right now.
Is the atrium on the first floor or the second floor?
On the second floor. It's got a really good view of everything around.
All right. And I forced myself to not do my compulsive world building, so we are making canon as we go along.
I'm so happy for you.
Ooh, you know what? We need to light that candle of tales. Kick us off, Caitlin.
All right. We're going to light it. Ready?
All right.
Candle of tales. 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 Great success. And ribbit.
Ribbit.
I like how we're not going to run out of air. We just get faster until it's done.
No, we're just going
No breathing.
No breathing.
No breathing.
No breathing allowed. Okay.
Nice. All right. So we are officially there.
We're lit.
And now we're going into a narrative space again.
What is top of mind for Marlo right now, specifically?
Well, she has a lot on
Yeah,
her mind.
yeah.
I think currently, as she's looking out over Haven, she's thinking about the complete loss of control that her people have right now. That she used to stand there in the atrium and look over and see order and reason and know that she was a part of that. And now what she sees is herself trying to hold on to the last sliver of control, and not out of a place of, being power hungry, just out of a place of
Sanity.
Wanting what's best for order and her own sanity, everyone else's sanity.
Like literally.
So she's contemplating.
Magic user's case.
Yeah, she's contemplating the lack of control.
What do the streets look like down there right now? Are you picturing them as being outwardly chaotic? Have people gone to ground? Does it look largely unchanged, but it's a brittle facade? What do you What do you think?
I would say there's still hustle and bustle because there are still things that have to happen for people to eat and society to function. But it's certainly not the bubbling, brimming with energy place that it was before. It's a bit of a shell of what it was.
So there is a brittleness to it then.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Trying to find her voice. You're actually going to do it, aren't you? You feel your long-time companion, that's one word for it. You were in your class, in your graduating class, you were called Fire, and she was jokingly called Ice. Because you had the flaming red hair, right? Mm-hmm. Pre-reckoning. Isolde comes and glides next to you. So graceful, so composed. And her ice blue eyes are untouched by the reckoning, although her hair too is gone completely white, and there isn't a touch of color to it left. She comes up alongside you. The last 3 weeks there have been harsh words between the two of you. You know, His Grace's entire initiative, his approach to this is... It's beyond mad, Marlowe. I can't believe that you're supporting his idea of attempting to reconnect this shattered world when we have more than enough happening here, and you, one of the very, very few who still has some measure of will working to her. How can you leave?
You only think of what you see here in front of you. Remember that there is more. We need more than this. And just because so much has changed, he is still our Lord.
I am aware. We used to be so close. What happened? That schism began long before the reckoning.
Well, schisms are gulfs now, but...
They are. And I stand by my words.
There is always hope for reconnection, but to be completely frank, I have a lot on my mind and a huge weight on my shoulders at this time. I'm sure you can imagine.
I do not know why the Magna Mater gave you... Oh, wait. Right. She doesn't exist. I don't know why whatever gods run this place now let you have your gift mutated, perhaps even maimed, but some thread of it intact. And all the rest of us, nearly to a person, obliterated. I am grateful for my sanity. I am. And that is a huge boon, but I feel as though someone has put my eyes out or chopped my hands off. You would feel differently, Marlowe. You would. If it had gone all the way with you, you would not be so...
Of course I would. Of course I would. But do not think this just feels like a blessing to me any more than your position feels like a blessing to you. It's its own kind of curse.
We were always equals, and look at me now. You could kill me with a few... It's not even words anymore, is it? It's just screams. That's how you work well now. Or whatever you do. She takes half a step back.
Always so self-centered. Thinking of yourself, your loss. We have all lost. I understand how you feel, or I can at least try to understand how you feel. I can't say I would want to be in your shoes any more than I am in mine. Know that I will do everything I can to make the choices that are best for the elves. But I'm doing what I can with what I have. I feel as blind as our Lord at sometimes. But I will do my best. For both of us and for all of us.
She starts to turn away and then reluctantly turns back. You can feel some shift in her. It was when that human came into town, wasn't it? And her chainmail and her determination, your fascination with those things, with the short lives, all of it. That's when it started to go sour between the two of us. Admit it.
I have spent some time and attention on Zeph, yes. But you know that there were issues between us long before then, and I would not let that affect us.
Wouldn't you?
There's more important things to be thinking of right now.
I will see you at High Sun, Magus. And she, for the first time in your entire association, you're roughly the same age, she addressed you as a superior. Excuse me, and she leaves. In the tethering, I'm not going to do hope and fear, so these are all going to be reaction rolls, which does exist as a game mechanic, at least my understanding of it. So make a, to catch something on her. What do you think it would be as she turns?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Maybe an instinct? Or...
Instinct sounds good.
Presence? Instinct, do you think?
Yeah, presence would be more probably you exerting it on her. Either way, but go ahead. So yeah, just total up.
That's 16 with hope.
Oh yeah, you get it.
And then the plus 2, so
the
18.
plus 2, so quite high actually.
Let me just.
These are
because it's reaction. I don't get to take my hope.
I know.
But it was so exciting to take my first hope.
You get it like internally, it's just not documented.
I feel hopeful inside.
You feel
the player experiences hope.
you feel hopeful.
Okay. But yeah, 18.
Actually, note that down because there was a reaction I was going to have you make when you convene that I'm going to let you bypass now. You're just gonna spot it on her. Isolde is truly conflicted right now, but something that you just caught on her, which you kind of already knew, but something that you just caught on her now, Caitlin, is there is a level that in 250 years of long association with her, I'm going to say you knew each other as girls, you have never seen the kind of desperation that claws its way up to the surface and then she swallows it again. Because like I said, she's usually real composed. She wouldn't speak like that. She would couch her words very differently to other people. And that was like a private moment between the two of you. Last thing I'll say on that, just because you've got a really high roll, you've also noticed that even though elven status hierarchies usually take decades or centuries to change, there has been a noted shift in the last 3 weeks. More and more people are using the title of Magus to address you, which is your due, but in Elven society, at least in Haven, it's more understood, and you only use that title to emphasize. It would be like if you were friends with a doctor, you're not going to call them doctor or professor all the time.
Magus is like your highness.
Magus is like mage.
Mage.
It's like acknowledging. So it's acknowledging that she still has the ability to will work to cast magic, which is... Out of a population of, say, 10,000 elves or so in Haven, there might be 3 of you left. You know, so it's and you're the youngest. They're younger than you because you were the oldest one who still maintained her ability. So they're like fledglings, you know, they're apprentices. You're the only actual full caster in what used to be a powerful, thriving small city. All right, who's next?
I'm still watching.
Still watching?
Go ram.
Still watching.
All right, we're going that way. Wet my whistle here.
Oh my god. Gorgeous. Probably.
No, I live off this thing. Thank you, Lars. You got me that. A friend of mine. So you feel a slight shake and a little a breath on the back of your neck. Lazy bones, you slept in. It's long past dawn now. Come on. It's the touch of your best friend and maybe more, maybe not. Your choice. But Ustiel is Ustiel Maru. And so Ustiel looks, I'm picturing your fur as almost like a golden wheat and kind of fiery in places. I don't know, what color scheme did you have in mind?
Well, initially,
no, you had something different.
Well, it was just black, kind of almost like a black cat. I mean, I was actually thinking it'd be interesting if that changed during the.
I was going to say, did the reckoning change that? Okay, what does he look like now?
Well, I was thinking he'd change to just the black, almost panther-looking thing. We could do it the other way around, like where he became more tiger-looking.
Okay. And now tiger. Okay, tiger or lion?
Tiger.
Tiger. Okay.
Caitlin's hair, but with fiery streaks.
So, Ustiel was dark like you, with maybe more purple in there, and they still maintain a certain lithe ease to their motions, but underneath that the reckoning was very hard because you've been cut off now from the main pride, from your capital, and there's no communication. You don't know.
Right.
Which for these elves in their solitary, God's forsakenly long lives, maybe that's okay for them because they can retreat into their reveries and into their minds. But you have hundreds and hundreds of people waiting on you, waiting on word. So as is the wont of the Qatari, Ustiel grabs you and kind of snuggles for a little bit. You're much more physically affectionate than the elves are too, generally, as a species, crawling over each other like kittens. You've grown up, so not quite to that degree, but yeah, still a lot more.
I want one.
You probably have a room full of them.
Blue, purple.
Little kittens that I just keep in a cage.
And they say, You're really not going to come home?
You know that I want to. Of course I want to.
Arian,
the elves have made the world go mad.
You've done everything that there is to do here, my heart. Why would you want to venture even farther north and east? It's time to go south and go home.
Because it is our honor to do so. It's our duty to do so.
Duty, honor. Varian, we don't even have a god anymore. The great hunter is smoke and mirrors, is as dead in the grave as so many of our comrades. And still, you want to pursue things out here?
Yes.
I will never understand you.
I know. It seems the only sane thing to do in an insane world. We don't know what this world is today. Like I have told you before, the elves, I believe, the elves have brought in their magics and pulled on the threads of the reality and left it threadbare. And here we are. The only thing we can do is try to make some sanity out of this world that has been left behind.
They sit up in the furs and pillows that are in the communal sleeping chambers. And again, as is the Qatari want, about half a dozen of your fellows pretend that they don't hear the conversation so that you can always have privacy wherever you go. And Ustiel looks at you with those beautiful purple and gold-flecked eyes that you've seen so many times, that have carried you through so many dark days.
He's gonna, I don't know, cats do this when they actually have, like, true affection. So he'll, like, put his head on their head.
They kind of do like a head, you do like a head bunting.
They kind of
rub.
Katari, you're so cute.
We're all melting in there.
No, because it's so much more genuine than doing like the nose nuzzle.
Don't do it.
No, nothing.
You've crossed the line.
We don't live forever.
No.
I want to make sure that the world is worth the pride after us to have a place to live. Does it make sense?
What makes sense is that you are who you have always been. Stubborn and way far too brave for your own good. I just hope this time it is not too brave for the good of all of us.
Me too.
I think we can go home. Our gifts were not as disrupted as the elves. Some of them, maybe half. What, there a handful of will workers still left and functional in the city?
The more you lived in this world, it seems, the greater the effect.
You know, that hadn't quite occurred to me, but I'm thinking of all of their magi. The ones who were 10 and 20 and even 30,000 years. You're right. All of them have been destroyed. They stretch languidly.
Seal. The calling was awful, but it's also a great balancing of the scales.
And that was the war. That was the war between the elves and the Qatari.
The outcome of that. I truly believe this is the moment to remake the world more just. If we languish on it now, who knows how it will be remade.
Why would you say that, when there's madness and so much terror, Marion?
New beginnings are born in chaos.
Well, you always were more philosophical than me. They pour themselves some water, sip, in contemplation for a bit, look out. You have about 3 torches, about 3 hours to high sun. Oh, by the way, all of the mystical water clocks that were perfect, to the second, they're out of order now. So you look up at the clock, and the elves have many innovations, ways to tell time, which is pretty alien to you, because who the hell owns time? They behave like they do.
Why do you?
So there, and you even see, you hear a soft curse word in what would have been Qataris, but now
My ears kind of flicker.
a soft curse word as the Clypsedra, which is the name of the water clock, how it's leaking. You can see it leaking now because the runic magic is not perfect anymore. Actually, it doesn't exist anymore. So it's literally just a piece of wood with some water running through it.
Guess you're gonna need me because I move in and out of the shadows. I know how to tell time.
Finally, as they get up, and you know that there are worlds within this person. A lot of their life they live just inside. I suppose I should tell you this then, because I don't know if we're going to see one another again. It may be blasphemy, if such a word even exists anymore, because we don't have a god, but I'm glad. I personally, for my own selfish reasons, am glad that the culling happened 3 generations ago, because but for that, I never would have left the southern tip, and I never would have met you.
I feel the same. I will see you again.
Don't make promises you can't keep, Sato. Bad jam. Sato, S-A-T-O. Don't make promises you can't keep, Sato.
It's a hope. A reason to go. For something to come back to.
A few more flickers, and their tail reaches over and entwines with yours. Okay. I almost want to say you because you've been lurking in the shadows, but...
Nice.
Still watching.
Okay, you're still watching. Do you have to be so goddamn headstrong, Zeph? And Garrick Reed is pacing back and forth, who would have been the default character. The other default character. He's pacing back and forth, agitated. What chambers do you have?
What chambers do I have?
Yeah, what are they? Where are you chilling out at?
I mean, I was already kind of thinking that they're in, I don't know, whatever the normal accommodations are for like a visiting retinue.
Okay.
Because that's probably the situation when they arrived in Haven. They weren't planning on being there for as long as they are, or maybe they were already planning on being there for a month and then going back. So I didn't know how that worked in the world. But I imagine some sort of an apartment. There's, a group, and they're all they each have their own private rooms.
Hostel meets Airbnb.
So is he brother or cousin or something?
Cousin sounds good.
I do like the idea. She has a bunch of older brothers.
Hostel meets Airbnb.
Or if they were,
good,
so I didn't know if it was a situation like that, or if they were being hosted by another family in the city.
I think
How you were wanting to do that.
I think the former. Yeah, I think the former, because there are a collection of humans here, and you. So they already would have been established in the city. Are you the ranking person, or is Garrick? Because you're both of...
Garrick can be ranking.
Garrick, okay. You're both of high blood, but you're both highborn. For what it's worth now. And he speaks that out loud.
Whatever that means.
Well, the truth is... He shakes his head, looking at you. The truth is that post-reckoning, there doesn't seem to be a damn bit of difference, very little difference between all the different races. And honestly, not a lick of difference between men and women anymore. You can hit just as hard, run just as fast. And
Does that hurt you?
A little. Yeah, but...
Too bad.
But I'm glad. No, but I'm glad because... Fuck, you're right. You're gonna have to go. You're gonna have to be the one. I have to stay here, and as the highest born out of the humans here, I have to make sure that we're okay, that I restore whatever sanity I can. Oh God, Zeph. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do what His Grace wants. You don't have to try to reconnect these different towns. It's a little insane.
Who said I was trying to do it for him?
Aren't you?
Something in my bones telling me to go. You're the leader here. Our people need you. If you can even make it back.
You understand that there aren't any moon gates left. That there are no pulls. There are no pulls of...
No maps.
No maps.
All my maps are useless. They got erased. I've been working in the past 3 weeks just to try to rebuild the map for this place.
And you've done a damn fine job.
But that still won't help you get home. Do you remember the way? Because even I've forgotten some of those parts.
No, I don't.
But if there's anyone who can find it, you can. You still remember the mountain peaks off in the distance?
You have the best memory for that. I
You
think
always see those from Father's house.
it's because Yeah, we could. I think it's because you spent your entire life with those damn things.
And a number of things happened in there.
No.
Things that I can remember.
You're gonna recall it faster than me. And if these other idiots are gonna have any chance, you do have to go with them. We probably could go it alone here, just with what we have in Haven.
I'll sketch out what I can remember, and I'll give that to you. I can't explain, but I just know I need to go.
Well, it ain't any god that's telling you to do it.
Of course not. Wasn't even sure if they were real to begin with.
He looks around. I would say that's blasphemous, but I don't even know what that word means anymore.
Exactly. No one does.
Except these 6. Well,
We'll see.
maybe.
Even if there really are only 6 gods left, if some of them or all of them aren't even going to do anything to help us or do anything about the situation, they might as well not exist.
I was thinking about, and I'm not going to make you roll here, you can kind of see him rubbing the back of his neck, and I was kind of thinking about asking one of them for instruction, for help, to see what they want as a temple or offerings.
That's your decision.
You don't condemn me for that, Zeph.
No.
Really? Wow.
I may have forgotten some things, but the one thing I do know is I've always believed people should have a choice over their own lives. The few memories I can remember, I didn't have that. Some of them.
You really think there's going to be some kind of civilization after the reckoning? You really think not just survive as a city here, but you really think there's a chance, what this Lord is talking about, of rebuilding it?
Think of everything that we learned as children. You know, our entire family is a fighter's family.
Domini, a moment. I'm still speaking with my cousin. Yes, my lord.
Fighting is chaos, but there's always a result after it. Whether that's good or bad, we'll have to find out. All we can do is fight for whatever result we want.
And this probably was some kind of battle, wasn't it? Fought someplace. Smells like it to me. That much change, that much destruction, even if it was up there and not down here.
Someone lost.
Something happened. Yeah, someone did lose. Walk with me. He starts walking toward the Elven palace, leaving. He says, stay behind. If somebody's stupid enough to jump the 2 of us as 2 guards come up, they get what's coming to them. I don't even know if the Lord's law applies anymore in the streets. How would he enforce it? He couldn't see it if there was a violation. And to his point, Haven has been a haven for so long that there hasn't really been much violence, surprisingly, since it. 2 things, though. It's only been 3 weeks, and again, the inertia that I was talking about that's kind of starting to come to a close, and as people figure out that they have to figure out a new way, folks have been kind of going about their fragile daily business even without any city watch at all, Melissa. What you admit that in a human city wouldn't have happened. There would have been chaos already in the streets. He's going and he says, the elves. And now the 2 of you are alone. You're in the streets, but he's like walking, making sure that, he's taking you to areas where there's nobody even close to you. Before I would have been worried about their scrying. I don't know that I ever would have said this out loud. But they're all dead or broken, aren't they? Well, I guess just broken. By the way, if I ever go that, just please take my head. I don't want to be a shell of what I was. A gibbering thing that drools on itself. You're right. We do have a chance here. You know, the thing that always kept us down was their magic. There are a lot more of us than there are of them now.
Be careful. There's going to be some other leaders that notice that, but we take different actions than you. Or I.
I wonder what they're doing right now with our Iron Guard at home. I wonder what they're thinking about and what my Lord Father is going to do. He's as close to a racial leader as we have, and that's another thing they've always had. Every elf on this damn world has acted in unison under Kishtari, under their, I don't know, she's more than a queen to them. Their goddess made flesh. And because no one can talk to Ice's End, I have to wonder, Zeph, did she go crazy too? Is she just as vulnerable as all the other will workers are?
Maybe that's what started this. What if she was the first one to go crazy, and that's everything that has happened is because she was the one who lost.
I hadn't thought of that.
You really have been talking, haven't you?
At least she's tangible. I know she exists.
According to the Qatari, she's invincible on a field of battle.
Yeah, but she's not some god somewhere.
No, she has a body.
It's the only tangible thing that I can think of. Far-reaching, and don't tell any elves about this idea.
Oh, Ave! as you go past some elven grocers and act casual and steer away.
Nothing to see here. Moving along. No, I'm just kidding.
Cousin, I want to ask you to do something, but I don't have the right to order this, and I wouldn't even if I could. I think we need to get eyes on Ice's End. I think we need to see their capital. I think we need to know.
There's a lot we need to know.
It's a hell of a trip. I don't even know if it's possible without their moon gates. So I might be asking you something that can't be done. Are you willing to accept it?
Of course.
Just like that.
Have you forgotten too much?
Piss off. And he laughs and kind of claps your shoulder. Yeah, all right. Okay, fair enough. Let's get back home. Get a meal on you before this bloviating elven lord. Gods only know
And
what
I'll try to spend some time back at the place where we're staying, draw whatever I can remember, whether that is actual drawings of map, even if it's just some iconic stuff of like, here's what the mountain peaks look like.
I'm going to say you have a human compound. That feels right to me.
Yeah.
How many are in the compound?
Somewhere between 30 and 50.
Okay. I'm going to say 50.
Because I feel like they would have had to travel at least 2 weeks to get to Haven.
Okay.
And, you know, that's far enough. They would travel with a little retinue.
Is your character willing to use? Was she willing to use their moon gates? Where you basically teleported from one point to another, or did she shy away from that and take the long way around? It's still possible.
Let's say they took the long way around, and it was a little longer than 2 weeks.
Okay.
Say of the 50 people, are any wounded or ill in terms of supplies now that everything's gone? Because 50 people could be 50 healthy people or people
I mean,
suffering.
however humans, whatever
So-
ratio humans were affected.
So
by.
here's an interesting thing. Everyone was affected by the reckoning, but Varian's observation may not have been all that far from the mark, because the shorter-lived species seem to have had less of an impact visited upon them.
Great.
For you,
Sup.
for you personally, who are just, you know, a woman of iron and grace, you had like the same effects that everybody had, whereas you had the profound insight into the gods, that there were only 6 true gods. You suddenly could understand the elves even when they were trying to speak in Elvish. Basically, the only thing that changed is you're now as strong as Garrick. You're now as physically strong and tough as Garrick. That's it. And the two of you were about dead even in skill, but his extra weight and strength would usually...
arm wrestling back at the compound. And I'm beating him.
And you're beating him, and he's like...
beating him, and he's...
Yeah, no, he's not...
he can't handle it.
He's not loving...
Great.
He is not loving this new situation. Okay, so for you personally, this wasn't so bad, but you understand that the world...
Yeah, I mean,
trade routes have been just horribly disrupted.
Yeah, and we're able to see how much this has affected, you know, structured community. And I think as someone with her background, she would recognize that's not really a good thing. That, you know, there needs to be some stability.
Oh, you're teetering on the edge of worldwide chaos. Yeah, of like civilization, on collapse of civilization. Some people would argue that you're already there because you have no communication right now.
Yeah.
And this is a world, unlike in the... You know, this is a very magically advanced world. So you have sending stones. That basically can communicate across continents in with a slight delay, sort of thing. You still had to have some kind of magical aptitude, but there are enough humans who studied the elven kind of magic, the hermetic, like the high magic, which was very math based and very like organized, that you could make full use of the sending stones too. Okay. All right, my lurker in the dark.
Can't delay anymore.
What's up, bitch?
You settled on Finny? Is that what we call you?
Yeah, Finny.
Okay.
My name is Finny. Ribbit.
All right, Finny, you ribbit person. How has Finny... It seems fitting that I don't just jump you right into a vignette, because Finny feels like captain of their own destiny. So, what has Finny been up to? So how is Finny initially impacted by this just psychic blast that went out and leveled everything? And then what have they been up to since then?
Finny's young, like a teenager, and lost being the only, I believe, underborn of this
of the
team,
crew of the team, right?
Yeah.
Of the team to be, yes.
So Finny lost family, has been on their own, even as a teenager, for a while. So this reckoning happening is kind of a welcome to my world.
I can see that, yeah.
That you're now all on my level. But it could also be false confidence. It could be Finny's undoing. But I really believe Finny saw this from afar and is taken in, and especially going in and out of shadows, making their way in, being able to survive on nothing. Finny's not sure if Finny wants to use those powers for good or for evil yet.
Where does Finny typically Finny go to Haven, to go to ground? In the city. In the city, because I know you had said you were out in the woods. Yeah. The woods have gotten a little crazier though.
Well, because I'm used to shadows there, not shadows from just loss of power and light and magic. Definitely the market, because that's where you can hear whispers. That's where there's gossip. That's where you see what weapons in stock, what food's in stock usually, and so taking inventory of that before even needing to.
Less food now.
Yeah, exactly. So, Finny was upstanding even as a lurker before, but
so do you
now having to steal things to stay alive. I'm not sure quite how scared Finny is, or if it's a face Finny's putting on.
Do you have a stall that you're hiding underneath? Do you have like a false tile somewhere in a building that you're pulling behind you? Like where is their safe place, I guess?
I'd say I wouldn't know what takes up the most power in that world. Like if there's a, is it a restaurant? Is it like a hospital? Is it, just what?
Oh, something. Oh, no.
Where is kind of the YMCA hideout? Or is it just an alleyway and made a home in like a dumpster that he emptied out? It's kind of understanding the world of Haven, where actually is.
I'm going to give you two. I'm going to give you two options that that's a good way of putting it, Audrey, about power. So you would have had the palace itself, which would be kind of ironic, and that was juiced to the gills. That had all kinds of magic going on.
Gems, light, magic.
The proper word is dweomers, but it had all sorts of magics going on. Including like a brilliant light that could almost replace the sun if it needed to. Largely ceremonial now, but it was there for defense of the city.
Like a generator.
A huge generator, but it could be focused above the palace, and if needed, used to light it, also to incinerate things, in case things got out of hand. You would not be the first human to note that it was also the angles that they had the globe at. It was also capable of being turned on certain portions of the town as well.
It's like an eye of Sauron looming over everything.
But it wasn't there all the time. Like it was
cannon.
It was invoked.
Turn on the eye of Sauron.
So there was that, and that's not unique to Haven either. Like all major elven cities, and even like some of the smaller ones, because Haven is small in population, but it's very important politically and strategically. So the palace itself, or you might have gone the total opposite direction and found like an abandoned dome, because these elves are always building these domes and towers, and then found yourself up in like the rafters, somewhere where you constructed a little nest there.
Like an owl or a monkey. Yeah, because I was curious if, especially for these temples worshiping gods that aren't like no longer there.
They've been abandoned.
Yeah, they've been abandoned. Then that makes sense.
Okay. No, yeah. That's good. Yeah. Which I know we didn't do like pre-reckoning gods, but what sort of god did Finny find?
I actually was curious, which do you think in terms of the space itself, like the architecture, what do you think Finny would have been drawn to for them?
Something with high ceilings.
I mean, obviously that, because it still aids to climbing, natural light, all that jazz. But yeah, which would you say?
If it's okay with you, I'm going to go with you actually went to the Temple of the Great Mother, the Temple of the Magna Mater, which was the elven racial deity before this all happened. So that's not one of the true gods. It's one of the gods that was revealed.
Oh, okay.
And it's been abandoned now.
Okay.
Or attendance is plummeted, let's say. And people are just, and the people who are going in there now, Audrey, are just husks of themselves. They're going in there totally by route memory, and they're shambling through more like zombies than parishioners.
Is there some like priest who's kind of lost his mind?
Probably.
Still shows up and gives sermons?
Probably, but he's just
Where
kind of
is everybody?
No, he just.
It's a better old man voice than I have. That's great, Kaylin.
Is that like has it become like a tent city per se, or is that I'm there when no one's there, and then I have to hide my stuff?
No,
vanish,
there's a whole tower. There's a whole high tower that isn't even maintained anymore.
Yeah.
That's just
sleeping with the dusty bells.
Where the priest has given up trying to go up there. So the last 3 weeks have been okay. They've been very good to you. You increasingly then, in that context, because I needed to know that, in that context, for the first time, in your life, you feel like you were beginning to feel eyes on you, and that the shadows have begun to stare back at you. So
I think if I learned how to move in and out of the shadows and everything's a shadow, then I've lost what I thought was power.
Join the club.
So you're.
Well, I'm thinking join the club. So if everyone's saying join the club, it's
It's a big club.
it's now a big club. I think Finney's a little too cocky right now, being a teenager. Like, I think Finney's really scared.
This is as you're trying to sleep. I'm picturing your character having a weird sleep schedule at this point.
Oh yeah, because now like the night owls, if everything is darkness, now, I told you, like, I mean, I can move in and out of the shadows, but if everything is shadow, then what time is it? And
And something is whispering to you up in this bell tower from the shadows.
what?
It's time. It's time to come in from the dark.
No one knows what time it is. What time of dark is it?
It's time for you to come in because there ain't no more room here.
This is my space first. Don't make me fight for that right now.
No, it wouldn't be much of a fight, lad. But I do have a place for you to go. And then you feel you feel the presence kind of shift to another clump of dark. Their beautiful, shattered palace. Look at it. You can see it from the window. They're gathering. They're proud, but I've watched you. They need you, and they know that they need you. One of them in particular. The red hair. Except now she doesn't. She knows. This is your moment, lad. Go. And this voice just keeps bouncing around here. You feeling it, Audrey? Yeah. So like you turn one way, you turn another.
I haven't watched enough. Shut up. I haven't watched her enough yet. I don't know if she's still got her sanity.
Maybe you're just talking to yourself. Maybe that's how you reckoned the reckoning.
Telling me this is all my fault and you've got another thing coming to you.
It may not be your fault, lad, but it is your responsibility.
What can you tell me about her? That I don't already know.
I've watched her a little, I admit. But you know a lot. I know that gaps have become chasms. I know that she will be leaving here soon, perhaps even today, not because she must, but because of what she is. But you probably already figured that out yourself, didn't you?
Think she's still in love? That's not going to help me.
When has love ever helped you, Finney?
It's not your place to poke at me about that right now. You're the one who woke me up.
Isn't it?
Do you like to see me when I'm cranky when I wake up?
I like all versions of Finney. You're really quite charming when you're asleep.
I have more energy than people do in my sleep.
See, this is why I like to be your friend, Finney. You just throw it right back at me. It's really quite the best. Most little ribbits would be wetting their lilies now, but instead, you just jab right back. There you are.
That's a good racial slur.
I was gonna say, if you said I sink my lilies, then you're calling me fat.
No. Wetting them, it's an entirely different thing. Believe me, I've seen it enough. I've caused it enough.
I love that you and I are the only ones still laughing in this world.
I think that's the other reason why I'm bothering you. Well, there it is. Your golden opportunity. They won't have any choice but to say yes.
Always used to following.
Oh, I know. But the Sablewood doesn't hate you the way that it hates them. And without their precious little magics, well, look out the other direction. Notice anything? See how every day the trees are creeping closer and closer, the weeds getting a little denser? Pretty soon they're going to have issues, real issues. But you can take them through all of that. You know the way. Just tell them what they need to hear.
I don't want to lie.
Oh, Finny. You don't have to lie.
All I've ever done is lie.
Don't lie. You just don't have to tell the entire truth. It's very different, you know.
So, Roy, if I'm scared, is it?
Everyone's scared. Can't you smell it? Look at them. Their brittle smiles, their trembling hands.
No, you woke me up. I now know where to get breakfast. Of course I can smell it.
Well,
I hope if I can make him laugh, I can keep him sane. Because I'd rather wake up to you than hearing people scream. Guess they're not used to being hungry and
here.
moving in and out of the darkness.
No. I'll give you a little something. I admit I was rude. Here you are. And something drops. A wonder of the world. A scroll that no one can read. Now, isn't that funny? I need to go to sleep, Finny.
That'd make two of us, but now I'm really too excited about this scroll you gave me.
Well, good. Then, mission success. Good night.
Do you want any food when you wake up? I'll get it for both of us.
Oh.
Gotta stick together, don't we?
Well, I'm never adverse to offerings. Yes. If you can find a little oil, that would be wonderful. Just a little oil right there next to the bell. All right.
What up, biscuits?
So a few short torches later, back, a word that is stuck around, roughly analogous to an hour in real life, a word that stuck around back before torches became a curious artifact of a bygone era, because of course, for the last, 20,000 years, elves have just made light and enchanted it, and it's been, with a little bit of Lux Fiat Aeternus, you could make a gem, or you could make, and then eventually it got refined to the point where you could make just a grain of sand, even, the object that you empowered, and then you would have light forever. So imagine in these, you don't have to have oil, you don't have to have torches, you don't have to have candles. It's all just magic, even the common folk in Haven. And Haven is not the wealthiest city, again, It's about middle of the road, honestly, for technology, for techne, for elves.
So it isn't quite magic, it is still physical.
But everyone here, had those. Even humans had those. Even you had a little grain of sand that gave light when you wanted to. That's all gone now. So
Technically and metaphorically leaving the world in darkness. Excellent.
Yay!
And so, of course, there has been a desperate scramble, or I should say a frantic scramble for the old ways. People have had to dust off some musty tomes because water of memory doesn't work anymore either. There used to be potions that would hold written and technical knowledge in them. And you could just sip them. And they would make whole vials, so you could just a tiny little sip would be enough for you to take that knowledge into yourself, and it would linger for weeks or days, at least, long enough to do whatever you needed with it. And that's all gone now. Now it's just so much water, useless water. And in the face of all of that, it's, you're in danger of losing entire disciplines of technology if you don't have interconnectivity and you don't have experts. So I'm going to say that Finny, you've been the fastest to adapt to this, and then Zeph, you've been right behind them. So you're like, oh, okay, cool. That doesn't work anymore. Well, I'm used to being out in the field anyway. Guess it's time for a flint kit. You know?
I was going to say,
Yep.
because I was wondering if that magical light doesn't give off warmth, then humans would still want warmth.
You still want warmth.
There would still be fireplaces in active use, and
because of where you come from, and because you were a member of the Iron Guard, all of you are trained to survive out by yourselves, at least on some sort of minimal level.
Doubt Girl Scout.
Because it's on your particular culture of humans. Because Garrick was right, humanity is fragmented. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure, at least we have at least 7 or 8 different versions of humanity, whereas the elves just all united under one banner. But your civilization, your culture, magic is fine. Magic has its uses, but you're never going to allow yourself to get weak and dependent on it.
Exactly.
So you've actually adjusted much faster than the elves have, and not just because of age, just because of what you relied on.
Quick question, just solidifying
Sure.
what the voice was describing Zeph to me. Like, to go find. I was saying, I was clarifying hair color.
Yeah.
I was like, I assumed it was.
Oh, yeah, because
Oh, that's right.
I hadn't defined that.
And the hair color. So I was like, I know we talked about it before we did the rundown, but I was like, I'm pretty sure that's who. So at least all my dialogue I was correct.
Since you were spot on.
Cool.
Since we don't have art yet, let's. I was actually heading us toward a full description when we get there. We're almost there. Okay. All right. So all that to say, there is a reason that the Lord Theodulf convoked y'all at High Sun, and it's not just symbolic. It's because the audience chamber, which used to be this beautiful, illuminated chamber with strings of lights and intention and little pseudo fairy fire that would kind of drift. It wasn't there. It was like a soft mist, and it would just drift along the ceilings wherever it wanted to, and the chamber never looked different, or never looked the same way twice. That's all gone. And this was not, Haven is not so old, or at least the audience, actually Haven is pretty damn old, but the audience chamber is not so old that it was built before the invention of magic lights. So the audience chamber is, you will be stumbling around in the almost dark at basically an hour before or an hour after High Sun. So it's not a great audience chamber anymore.
Yeah.
How long then, if we don't have light that we can maneuver in this world, like how many hours of daylight is?
Roughly like ours. It's
I didn't know if it was like Sweden or Alaska and but the reverse in total darkness, and we only have this brief little time of natural light.
I didn't. No, that's fair, especially post Reckoning. I didn't want to get into it, but I am still using the two. I'll just mention it here and then drop it for now. I am using the 2 moons, Lucida and Umbra. So Lucida is the bright moon, and Umbra is the dark moon. And those, at least, like the elves, held their breath because there was real consternation if the moons were going to continue to function, because it's always been, we'll get into it later, but because of certain peculiarities about them, it's always been a possibility that they were actually magical constructs.
Oh, lordy. But thus far, they seem to be tracking.
So far, but it's only been 3 weeks, and the test is going to be at the end of the year, because they do a really weird thing. Maybe I'll hit it next session, but they do a really weird thing at the end of the year. And it's like, if they fail to do this thing, that could be super bad.
So they're in beta.
Yeah. And it is early for y'all. It is like early spring right now. Fortunately, the reckoning did not happen in the dead of winter, or there would have absolutely been dead.
Yeah.
No crops are sorry.
Yeah.
And way less light.
And way less light.
Perfect.
So it happened at about the best time it possibly could have.
Really devastating.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, great timing.
Yeah.
Everything about this is great. This is going well.
Says the elf.
I love this. I'm having a great time.
So High Sun finds the party to be assembling in there. any attempt at like security or keeping people out has just been abandoned. So Finny, you basically get to just waltz in if you want to, although you probably would I don't know, would you just stroll in, or would you still skulk and prowl in and be careful?
I think I'm a little out of my element if everything is more so kind of in darkness. I've had to hide myself, but if now I can hide in plain sight, maybe I am just waltzing in.
Okay. No, that's you get a couple looks by the skeletal crew that is up here. And of course the palace once would have been a beehive of activity, and it's been just devastated.
Marlowe's eyes dart, but there's no physical movement or reaction other than that, just a quick eye flicker.
Make I believe for this system, I do not even have these stats memorized, but I believe it would be presence. Is there a better manipulation one for that, or keeping your?
Yeah, that's to perform as presence. So I guess that would make sense.
So go ahead and make reaction presence, and
it's only a 5.
Okay. And you know who I'm rolling for, of course. You're old girl.
Watching.
You have a feeling. Probably nobody else in this room caught it, but you have a feeling that Isolde saw your reaction when that happened, or at least noted something amiss.
I intentionally don't make any eye contact with them either.
So in this audience chamber are gathered essentially all of the player characters and NPCs that I've already outlined. So Garrick Reed, except your admirer, sorry, they're not there. That although there are plenty of shadows in the chamber, so who knows? They could have been lying, and they actually might not be sleeping right now. Ustiel is with you. The Lord was very loose on his language. It was essentially those who will be partaking in this venture, and their valued associates. But there's kind of the cultural thing in Haven of the second, so that you would bring whoever is the second, most important to this endeavor kind of with you. Because the audience chamber is actually pretty small. It's not huge, it's not grand. And that was a deliberate choice by Theodulf. He had the power. He's not to, I don't know if I said this in session 0, but like he used to be a vastly powerful hermetic mage.
He's the one
that was her mentor that you went blind.
He was one of his men. Yeah, he was the mentor. I do have the Archmagus, the former Archmagus, is also here. I'll describe him in a second. And he was like directly your mentor. But Theodulf is about 30,000 years old. So he's not quite as old as her wisdom, as Kishtari, but he's an ancient being, But he has been remarkably, in your experience of him, Marlo, he's been remarkably flexible mentally. Like he was happy to have, when the humans finally found their way to Haven, he was happy to grant them land to build a compound on. He was, he's fine. Like, sometimes you would get some jerk, usually elf, honestly, some who didn't like the looks of the ribbits.
Usually.
Coming in from the Sable Woods, but he would just, Haven basically, he wanted it to be a haven. So he kept it that way. And he has been his suzerainty, his rulership of Haven is the only that the city has ever known for its entire existence. So there we go. He built the audience chamber. So you probably can only have about 15 people in here, maybe 20. And then
that's a lot. Yeah.
No, I mean it's like
a chapel.
A little bit this bit, right? It's more like a chapel. Actually, that's a good call. And he does have like a raised chair, but that's about it. It's not some grand, throne. So as you gather, let's see, Finny, you come in. Well, you were already there, so you'd be the first. You and Isolde would have been the first 2 people there. And she does, just without really conversing with you, but again through that inertia, this may be the last ever. She just comes as your second, because she would have been your second,
Yeah.
and any other candidate is busy being insane.
It's really time consuming.
It's just
I'm booked. Losing it.
sorry all day. Yeah, losing it. Oh, screaming rant, losing it. Okay, there you go.
Pulling out my hair.
What time did the rest of y'all? So okay, you were there first. Who was there second?
Probably my group.
Okay, probably your group.
Okay, I think it sounds like I'm third then.
Third, and then
I snuck in with a group.
oh, you snuck. Okay, did you stroll or did you sneak?
Stood upright and tried to look human.
Aww.
But it needs to talk a little bit like them, so
Okay.
mumble and hide.
So as
In
you
plain sight.
as you walk in, Garrick is like, cousin?
It's all right.
Right.
I know him.
And in contrast to my flicking eyes to Finny, I would have given the formal nod to Garrick and Seth as they
Okay.
came in.
Yeah, that's appropriate. He bows to you as well as an equal.
Zeph does the same.
He's the ranking human here in Highborn, but you're a magus. All right, and then you came in with Ustiel. What's your bearing like, Justin, as you get in there?
Respectful, I guess. I mean, it's not going to be. He's obviously here to help be successful with all of this.
Okay.
And yeah, no, he comes in. He's respectful. I mean, I think he comes in. He kind of does a respectful court bow to all the people, sort of in attendance.
Okay.
I mean, all things considered, I mean, it's been, 60 some odd years since the whole thing was over, and, he was looking forward to going home. But at this point, it's like,
What's one more week or two?
well, no, I mean, I think he really believes what he was saying, is that, like, this is the time to remake it. And so just starting off, in a very, yes, I'm playing the antagonist, but
Well, an antagonist species, right? Really, there's some doubt about who the elves are and who the rest, and who's the protagonist and who's the antagonist, which I kind of like about this.
There's no doubt. Not for me.
The only other two folks here are the Lords Herald, Grimsby Stonearm, and Grimsby is a big boy. He is a giant. You don't know too much about him other than he's a relatively recent addition.
maybe not as strong relative to everyone else as a month ago.
Vastly depowered, in fact.
Wow.
So
It's like muscle deficiency, even though he retains giant stature.
he still looks imposing, and he probably like edges you out. But the fact now, Zeph, that you could successfully, and you, Varian, could successfully physically contend with a giant is a little weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
But you do have some giant allies, that were in good with the humans, and you've sparred them. And you're like, so not only has the gender gap evaporated, the species gap has nearly evaporated. They're still a little tougher than you and a little stronger than you, but not by that much.
How tall is he?
About
Like physically large.
he's still a big guy, about 7 feet.
Okay.
Not like
He's not like
20 feet, but
like north of the wall.
right.
Yeah, he's not like 12 feet
They
tall.
still have reach.
Barely.
They still have reach.
But they still have reach. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they mechanically they do still have reach too, which is nice. No, I mean it's
Name again?
should. Yeah,
Herald
Yeah,
and
because they can.
Grimsby.
Oh, sorry, Grimsby Stonearm. Yeah, the Herald.
Oh, that's his title.
Yeah. Sorry. His title is Herald. And then finally, you have the now former Archmagus Choral.
A or C.
Khirahl. Choral Whitefire. And he's, he was a mere 20,000 years old. Phelan.
Casual,
He's got
Keeping it toy.
He's gotten a similar treatment to most of the Magi, where his hair was already starting to gray, which is kind of unusual. And like Theodulf still looks just like in a glowing prime. Yeah. But at a mere 20k, he was already starting to go gray. But Corral now just does a shock of white hair. Mm. And you said how much of your hair had come back, and was it the same color as you had before that was coming back? Or
yes.
Something?
So I had red before, right. And now it's almost completely white. There's literally only strands, like 10 to 20 strands of red that you probably wouldn't notice unless you were over here picking through it.
Okay.
Hovering above and looking.
Or hovering above.
You're watching the sun hit it just right to see the red.
Okay. And it's the exact same color coming back in?
Yep.
Or is TBD? Okay.
Right now, at least.
Right now? Okay.
It's the same color.
All right. And I tried to find, there was actually a really nice like ceremonial cloth that was going to tie around my eyes. So I'll have to find it.
Your sexy blindness cloth.
So, Grim, is everyone here? Yes, Your Grace. I think so. Maybe an extra one. Was that little one part with you, my lady?
If he wants to be.
I do.
Okay. Well, the humans have a ribbit with them, Your Grace. That's fine. Whatever, I told them to bring whomever they needed for best chances. Thank you for coming, all of thee. Marlo, where are you?
Right here.
Right. Good. I'm glad you're here. And Isolde, right here. Good. I'm glad you're here as well. So, many of you present in this room have already heard about my various attempts, plans to make sure that we make good use of the spring and summer. And supply chains are shattered. I won't go through all of that again. I'll just say that for those of you who are going to remain behind, thank you, thank you, thank you. We, we need you more than ever, obviously. I asked 3 of you to consider going and attempting to relink our shattered world, and in the form of first going to the village of Hush and seeing, well, I'll get into all of that. May I hear your answers, please? And I'm afraid I'll have to literally just hear them. Forgive me if I'm speaking at the wrong person at the wrong time. I'm trying to relearn all of this. Marlo first. Marlo Fairwind, what say you?
Aye, of course, my lord.
My lady?
Aye, I will go.
So Quick and Sato.
Yes, I am present. It shall be done.
Present, and you agree. You accede to go with them.
I do.
Wonderful. Was there anyone else who wanted to accompany them? Your cousin looks at you and then shakes it, just gives it like a sad little shake. Sorry.
And she'll put her hand on his shoulder.
Then he says, I'll follow. If he can't, I'll follow you.
I'm sorry, I don't know that voice.
It's the ribbit, my lord.
He has a name.
The ribbit?
Finny.
Come. Am I... And then, so Grimsby just kind of gives up and like this huge hand just tenderly wraps around the long, slender fingers of the Lord, and he moves the hand so he's at least gesturing in the correct direction.
Vinny, this is your moment. Seize it.
I said I'd follow. Follow Zeph. You'll have me.
And
We would be honored if you would join us.
would you tell me a bit about yourself? little one. I actually have only met a handful of ribbits, even in my long run. They normally don't come to Haven.
Your home's my home. You don't really have much of yours left, do you? So, I'll do what I can to help you get yours back. You get yours back, I get mine back.
I appreciate the logic in that. Is it true that the sablewood, that it looks a bit more kindly on the ribbits than it does the rest of us?
It's only because we've known darkness a lot longer than you have. You'll take a ribbit's word for it.
Well, considering my own personal state of affairs, I suppose I'm going to swiftly become intimately acquainted with darkness. Very well. Take what you need, and, Archmagus, retired now, my lord, but, yes, present. Would you, of course, and he kind of shuffles forward. He says, my own mentor, the Arcanist, the Whitefire Arcanist, she has made her home in hush of late. For what reasons I cannot really say and tell you, but she has always been an odd creature, vastly wise, and yes, powerful in her way. If there is a creature who can bring any sense to what has the tragedy that has befallen us, it surely is her. Her will-working was from an earlier time, Marlowe. Perhaps it is my sincere hope that at least some of it has survived the reckoning. Yes. How much, to what extent? We do know that all hermetic magic, as we elves practiced it, is gone from this world, perhaps never to be seen again. And you see Isolde kind of take umbrage at that, but she doesn't interject. Who knows, child, he says to her. However, there are remnants of other magics, other ways of approaching it which seem to have clung on. You, Hunter, some of what your people do is still intact, I believe. And there is some glimmer, perhaps some primordial way that is forcing itself through in you, child, now. Of course, he's addressing Marlowe with that. So, with that, I say, the Arcanist is possibly as old as her wisdom. Very, very, as I said, even by our standards, an ancient creature. Here are the finest carved, best balanced sending stones that we still have. This one I made with my own hands during the Southern War, what your people call the culling. He says, I can personally attest to the fact that it is quite accurate with virtually no effort. I believe that even a strong enough intent, wouldn't even have to be a trained will worker. In the field, elves used it that did not have the gift. So, if any of them is going to work, it will be this one. And your former mentor hands it to you. He says, I have no idea, and I'm sorry, I should have described this. So in the center, there's like a little ceremonial rail.
Altar,
There's actually a pool of what was called a pool of threads. And the pool of threads allowed you to communicate to any other pool throughout all of the Elven civilization, including Ice's End, including all of the major cities and many of the minor ones. Even some villages had pools. The pool now is dark. He says, here then is an elixir of threads. See if it's inert now, of course, like all of our magic. But if you come through any possibility of resparking it, then I implore you, it might still work that if you can reactivate one pool, you may reactivate all of them through the metaphysical ties that I hope remain. If those are gone and completely lost, then I suppose we do it one pool at a time, but I get ahead of myself. Do you also want this burden, Maga? Sorry, that's the female, rarely used, but female form of female address for a Magus. Do you also want this, or do you want someone else to carry it to spread the risk around?
It is better to spread the risk. I trust Zeph to carry it.
You understand, my lady, this is a fragile thing. It will not stand up to your shenanigans. And who used to be maybe the 5th most powerful magic user in the world, who is just now an old man with pointed ears, kind of shuffles a little bit over to you and hands you the elixir.
May I ask the size of them? Like, how big are these stones? Are they
the sending
fit in my
stones?
hand, or is a rock them?
No, they could fit. They can fit in a hand.
Okay.
There are some that are larger that are meant for like group communication, but that was a field. That was one that was made in the field.
Penny's just doing a reconnaissance about the size of a magical thing around her.
Your Grace, that is, sadly, all I have been able to put together. Well, then it will have to do, won't it? Friends, former subjects, if you like, you can leave straight away or leave at dawn, however you think best for your journey. I would give my advice here, but I can't even remember exactly how far Hush is. Do you have any questions for me before I retire?
My lord, forgive me, but I don't remember the way.
Well, we know where the path begins, and we hope that it still runs through. My lady, you had said that you were certain that you had rediscovered the pathway to Hush, yes? At least where it started?
More likely, yes.
And then I think that's probably where to begin. It's all uncertain, though. I may be sending thee on a wild goose chase, as the humans say.
Yes, lord.
I'm sorry. Does anyone else have a query for me?
Not a query, but a hope. Your Grace.
Speak.
Perhaps this is the time, the opportunity for all of us to build a better world. I know there's a lot of pain.
Actually, Justin, with advantage, go ahead and make. I guess this is the. I know I said these were all going to be reactions, but this is too important. Go ahead and make a presence roll with advantage.
Oi. That's wrong. Okay. That is an 18.
18 with hope or with fear?
With hope.
Hope. Wow. Okay.
Take a hope.
And then take a hope.
Finally, someone gets to take first hope.
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Oh my god, that's like your
First one. How about that?
And then you roll the die 6 too.
Yes.
Because it's with advantage. Okay.
And I subtracted 1 from my stat.
For your stat, yes.
Because I'm not that charming.
Not. It is called the Reckoning for a reason, though. So, even though you know that you're a bit rough around the edges, you still post Reckoning, because you would have noticed this as someone who never got along with others very easily. Your words seem to carry a little more easily now. It's subtle. That's a very personal, subjective thing that only you could know, really, and maybe your intimates, but you've just noticed that. So he actually does wipe away a tear. And Grimsby, with his huge hand, wipes away the tear from his other eye. And he touches his finger and goes to squeeze.
Ears do look kind of a weird thing when they.
Ustiel watches this and their eyes kind of widen as well. The gold flecks catching some of the high noon light. The truth is, Hunter, that I did not expect. Forgive me, friends. So much for millennium of court decorum. But these are dark days we find ourselves in, aren't they? My own thoughts had turned toward the inverse of that, Varian Sato, but not the opposite. It's hard to explain that maybe not, of course, not that this is for the best, but that there is some greater reason for this, some greater necessity even, and at that Isolde says, it just looks at him, and so this was the look. She recomposes herself. There is when he says that out loud, Caitlin, there is a look of deep disgust, and then it's gone, and she has her court face back on.
And I give her a sharp, knowing look.
She looks away from you. Not afraid, but unwilling to acknowledge you. I can only think that there must be some greater hand at work, or all. I cannot bear to be in a world where this is just blind chaos. So, I suppose that's a long-winded way of saying, I hope you're all right. Grim, help me back. I've done all I can here, I fear. And with that, a former proud, massively powerful, wise, just lord who has run Haven extremely well since its inception, kind of stumbles off, and Grim picks him up almost like a child and carries him off.
Marlo kind of does the ceremonial bow that she would do when he would leave a room, even though she knows he has no idea. She wants to set an example that we do it anyway.
And to that point, you hear Isolde mutter under her breath, "It's not like he can see you any road."
She's literally still bent over and turns her head up at her.
All right. What's going on?
The water that I was handed, is that in a pouch or flask or something? What kind of container or how heavy is that?
Was it water or the stone? Because they gave two stones.
I have the stone.
You got
You have
a
the
stone.
He's got the stone.
I got
water.
So is it like that?
I got once formerly magic water.
But is it like kind of that size?
Thread
that
water.
looks.
That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Thin, but yeah, actually, yeah, pretty.
Okay.
Solid visual. Yeah. I thought you had that on purpose.
Yeah, pretty
Got my
close to
thread
it.
water ready to go.
Yeah.
So
I just wanted to kind of know and have that answered before me.
we never really got a chance to talk about this. I didn't know if the two of our characters would have been talking or working in some tandem from time to time to kind of rebuild some of the
Right,
maps.
yeah, we did kind of the
Or
initial
at least
just
the area
answer those
around the
connection
city.
questions.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't think we hadn't developed that with really anybody.
Yeah, I think it was we planted the seeds of if you guys have
Right.
crossed paths, if you guys have been friends.
But I know,
yeah.
I met you out in outskirts when I was trying to map the city.
Because otherwise you would have shut me down instantly for following you in
I
and
know
turned me
you
in.
and I have met, but I don't quite know the nature of that, other than I'm a human and you're an elf, and we're both being a bit snobbish about it.
I feel they were they played as girls on the playground
connection?
or something.
What was the connection between between y'all's characters?
It was Melissa's connection. It was
We need to put our feelings
feelings
aside.
aside.
Need to put her feelings aside.
So there were feelings that need to be.
Okay, and that can be interpreted right. That
Yeah,
can be
I don't
interpreted
know
however.
what feelings there are. So
Marlo's gonna step. Just there's one step up. You said where the chair
Yeah.
was raised,
Yeah.
and she's just gonna take a step up on that step and turn to
Okay.
face the remaining group. Unless there are further words that needed to be exchanged, I would request that those not accompanying us on this journey say their goodbyes and take their leave so that we might make plans.
The first sensible thing that has been said on this endeavor all day long.
Ribbit.
Great Mother guide you all, Isolde says, even if she is a fiction. Farewell. Watch your back. She turns. Isolde turns and leaves. So Ustiel nuzzles you.
Nuzzles back.
Might I suggest we decide when we're leaving?
A good place to start.
Final goodbyes could be said later tonight if we leave first thing in the morning.
If you have things that need to be wrapped up, sure. Is that the agreement? Would you prefer to leave at dawn?
Do we even know what that is anymore? Ha!
That's one of the few things. One of the few things that we can still count on.
This is your expedition now, cousin. As you like. You could leave now, or wait until dawn.
Have we made any of the typical preparations of rations?
I'm gonna.
Yeah, that's cool. That was my
I'm
next
gonna
question.
say-
Gonna be like, what do I have to like?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking logistics at first. But
I'm gonna say that because you knew this was coming, that Lord Theodulf had put this out a while ago, at least a couple days, but probably a couple weeks. That you knew, so you guys are provisioned.
Well, an elf just approved of a ribbit hanging out with them on a journey, so I want to know, do I have to steal the stuff I need, or is it going to be provided to me for the first time ever?
I think for the first time ever, little Finny
My disbelief of that, or I'm like, hell yeah.
has an experience that they've never had before.
I would say that Zeph has already gotten... They have enough provisions to, or can get a few more.
Quickly, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Define,
Provisions for
need my tongue, or...
I don't think so.
Zeph is one of the few people in the city, like one of the few adventurers in the city where provisions actually aren't really disrupted. Because the compound had a crap ton of resources in it.
Well, humans rock agriculture, and
Yeah.
they know what they're doing.
And if the Lord is sending us on this quest, I assume he would make sure that there was at least
going
some
through-
level of rations provided for the amount of...
Is it going
food
through
we're
you, or are you asking us what do we need?
I'm just letting you know the food has been provided, at least what we have estimated we might need.
Am I hiding my weapons already, or are you guys afraid of each other? We afraid of each other going on a journey?
You tell us, are you hiding your weapons?
I'm always hiding, so that technically means they're hidden. They're hidden on me.
Zeph would probably turn to Finny and say any basic necessities of rations and food, bedroll, all of that thing I can provide. If there's anything specific that you want to take care of before the trip, then let's plan on leaving in the morning.
Pretty much all Finny was going to say is, thanks for letting me stop behind you.
How are people geared?
Well, I was wondering about Zeph probably would have done a little bit of asking around for anyone who could remember about Hush, if the name sounded familiar, and at least how far away it was.
Nobody remembers how far away
Any
it was.
descriptions of the town.
You did find the correct pathway out.
We have a trailhead.
You have a trailhead.
That's
You have
it.
those-
We don't know
you have
how
your map
long.
like
Question
that.
about that. Are there marker stones that actually had the name, or would those have been erased as well?
Those have been erased.
The writing has been erased, but there might be stones
be.
every certain distance.
Or even
along the
terrain, dips, if a map even just had dips or grooves in terms of hills or waterways. If any of those.
Okay.
The one thing that you can say about Hush is that you can, it is walkable. Because people do have vague memories of being in the village, and like making a day trip of it.
Okay, I would say, is this Oregon Trail or?
So it's not like right. It's a he's not sending you
all
across
have
the continent
dysentery.
to start with.
It's rattlesnake bites.
Although the Sablewoods, the fear is that the trail is already overgrown, because this is why waiting is dangerous.
Yeah.
Because the Sablewoods are reasserting themselves now. It's reasserting itself. And they're going to have a hell of a time with just muscle power trying to keep the growth, because it's actively invading Haven now per day.
Spring, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
On the rise.
so mounts wouldn't really be advantageous.
Mounts could be pretty dangerous in there. Yeah.
So we would be planning on going by foot. Zeph would automatically, almost instinctually, after doing that kind of thinking and research beforehand, would say we should leave in the morning.
Yeah, so
We've
you've got
got
an all-nighter.
the longest amount of daytime
Okay.
for traveling since we aren't sure.
Okay.
So be it.
That's fair.
I don't know, this is a little meta of a thing to ask, but the Path Forward Wayfinder thing that I have, how reliable has that been?
Read it to me, because I don't know that one.
So
Yay, new game systems.
yeah,
I only know a couple of these powers. So.
yeah. When this one, so it says when you're headed for a place you previously visited, or you carry an object with you that has been there before, you can identify the shortest, most direct path to your destination.
So it's magic.
You're now useless.
Something is.
Why did you say that like when the dude said
Immediately.
So you have not been able to tap back into that as far as what was it for if you visited it before?
So basically, either if I visited or that I'm holding an object that has been.
But
Right.
someone did find as soon as you tapped into it, because Hush is not that far away, so it's like people do come and go. You probably, God, this would be really scary. You probably even have people in the city who were visiting and meant to go back home and then can't remember how to get back home. And they're not adventurous, so they're not going to go wander around.
Just trapped there.
They're not going to, that's terrible.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say pick a trinket, Justin. What did one of them give you? That was like, I'm from Hush, she told you.
Okay.
So what did she hand you to track with?
What sounds good?
That actually makes even more sense why your character would definitely be needed for this.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, the world's been put into a snow globe. So it's like, where's Hush? God, trinket. Let's see. I guess maybe a brooch or something.
A brooch. Okay.
Maybe it was made by someone in their family.
I'm gonna say
It's kind of got its origin from Hush.
that it's a brooch. It's a brooch of her mother.
So it's actually a kind of a deep connection.
And she'll have to come up. I'll decide on a name for her later, because I had a name in my head, but I do want to try to have some kind of naming conventions for this, even though much looser than the other campaign.
Take it easy.
I know. Okay, fine. Her name is Isabel.
That's what I thought. Name that girl right now.
We're just going improv. All right. So Isabel gave. It hurts my fairy heart. Okay.
Oh, bringing over love from another. Okay.
So you recognize it for what it is. I think your character has seen enough loss and enough pain, Justin, in his life, that you recognize that it is an act of courage for her to give that up, because she has no idea if she's ever going to see you again.
Right.
And it's all she had. Her mother's been gone for a long time now, and she doesn't have much left of her, and she doesn't know if she's ever going to be able to go home. So they're like, that whole extended family, like about 10 of them came over, and they're like, is this our new home? Like, do we just have to stay here now? Are we just trapped here forever?
So I guess part of this for me was knowing that would have been, finding people from Hush and asking if they either know how to get there, which you've obviously been doing,
Yeah.
or if there's some connection to home.
So y'all would have worked together on that project, I assume.
And
Okay.
our two connections are really it's the
Yeah, I
I'll
think
keep your
you have
secret,
one
and
and I
mine
have-
mine is basically we tell each other everything. I have a feeling we're already
Pretty
working together
tight.
pretty
Yeah, because yours is
well.
I'll keep your secret. What was yours for? Is that?
We tell each other everything.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
If one knows, the other knows.
Yeah.
While I'm thinking,
And that's why I was kind of thinking maybe we'd been sort of working on like the whole map reconstruction effort for a while.
Yeah.
Around.
and she has the skill for it.
She has the
too.
skill.
and you have a,
And
a
I have-
super important talent right now.
Yeah.
Jesus,
It's pretty helpful.
in a city, in a world, in a
world.
yeah, in a world where
Gone
everything
mad.
is yeah.
In a
Yeah.
world gone mad.
Is your person jealous of Steph? Your relationship?
Are they?
Are they jealous of Steph? You're leaving someone like behind.
Yeah, Ustiel.
Do they think that you have?
Oh.
I don't think there would be any reason to be.
I don't know. Jealousy can be a weird thing. Is Ustiel
Jealousy
jealous?
can be.
Reason isn't involved.
I didn't think so.
true.
Okay. All right. Well, then, no, they don't.
that's you.
No, they don't have to be. They don't have to be. But I'll just not. Yeah, I'm gonna cool with Steph. Okay.
I can say Zeph does not come across as a flirt, ever. And if she does, she has no idea she's doing it.
So much more interesting.
That's really funny. Spell your character's first name for me, because I think I wrote it down wrong.
Zephina.
I-N-A.
Full name.
Okay.
And then Zeph.
Zeph is the yeah.
ZEPH.
For some reason, I put
But
in.
it sounds like ZEF.
Yeah.
So
For some reason, I put in an extra. I put in an extra A. But anyway, okay, Zephina. Okay. Got
I
it.
don't know. My presence is my weak stat. So charm, perform, and deceive. Like he's aloof, like a cat. I mean, it's.
Oh, no.
Imagine that.
I also have a -1.
Oh, so
to
we're
presence.
great.
So like
Peas in a
weird.
pod. There's just
almost
no
like this.
bullshit.
Yeah.
no bullshit.
We have a working relationship.
There's
Mar, what's yours?
no
What's your
shenanigans,
presence?
at least in
I have a +1.
communication.
Like even if one of us
I've got
decided to
+1,
flirt
so
with the
you
other,
guys
they
are
just-
negative, and
That's
Right.
funny. Okay.
We'll be the
was a
presence
flirt.
around
You'll be-
here.
you'll be-
well,
Neither one of them
I'm
would
literally
even
here
realize
because
it.
I'm trying to find you, dude.
So as we go through this, keep an eye on those prompts. Like, I'll keep your secret or whatever.
Yeah.
And then whenever y'all are ready, whenever you have the information, tell me what that is.
That's really why I said because my Zeph is I'd follow you anywhere. So when I was asked,
Literally doing it right.
You're literally doing it.
are you like when she asked, do you approve of this person being with you? And I said, I'd follow you anywhere. So that is my Zeph.
So like, yeah. So once you, well, I guess we kind of do know why this little ribbit is trailing along. Okay, no, that's cool. But just like if it's something that hasn't been established yet, then let me know, because we still don't know what that secret. Who's keeping the secret?
It's his secret that I'm
And
keeping.
that you're keeping. So whenever y'all establish whatever that secret is, let me know, because that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I just kind of took it more generally, like I'll keep your secrets.
They're also just well-written
Right.
little quips.
You could. That's for you to
ahead.
interpret. That's you to interpret, actually,
Yeah.
Melissa. If you want, however you want to do that.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
figure it out.
Okay. So we have that, and I'm gonna skip over getting the gear together. I'm sure y'all are capable of that. Although, like you rightly pointed out, Audrey, this is the first time in your little life that you've just been provided with what you need instead of having to snatch it.
Literally and in the game. For the game and in the game.
Aww.
In the game and for the game, y'all.
Aww. I like that life is imitating art there.
I thought you did that on purpose.
So you, I'm good. I'm not that good. All right. So you have a subdued but still like intimate goodbye with maybe the half dozen of the closest of the other Qatari in the city. Who they all to a person they all think you're kind of crazy to do this. That you're not going back to the Pride. But they respect it.
I mean, do they know where the Pride is?
No, but
Simba does.
No, but we're going to find it. I'm going to say there's one other person who has a similar talent to yours, but it's so far that they're not sure, but they're going to try.
So they're actually going to leave pretty much at the same time we're setting off in this thing. Okay.
No, this is like goodbye. You may never see each other again, especially if the moon gates never are functional again. We are talking like a vast distance to go on foot.
Right.
Does
Okay.
also mean
So
are we locked out?
motivated.
When you said moon gates, are we locked out if we leave?
Well, so the moon gates are like portal here,
Gotcha.
portal over there. They're just not working. So you can still walk.
Oh,
but
gotcha.
They're basically going from where y'all are at right now, like Alexandria down to South Africa. So they're crossing a continent
Copy. Great
to get
visual.
back home.
That's
Great
a
visual.
walk.
I carry something very intimate to
Steel.
Steel.
In case that ability
You can
kicks
try
in
and
again.
find him someday.
And I give something personal to me to the other person who has
Who has that talent?
Okay.
That's good, Justin. Let me mark that down.
Rip a claw out. There you go.
That's some good thinking.
If you need a shiv.
I want to go home. I want to find them again.
Steel takes their tail ring and slides it off, which is a very intimate, as you might imagine. It's not so y'all, the Qatari don't have quote unquote like, wedding vows the way that we do, but that is a significant
They have like a Irish, like a clodic
yeah
that flips
yeah
based on where.
so they and they're probably they're not going to be a whole lot of words between the two of you. Everything that's needed to be said has already been said, but when y'all are gathered at the outskirts of the city at dawn, they reach behind and just, without saying anything, take it off and hand it. You didn't even have to tell them that you wanted it, because they know your talents, and they hand it to you.
Okay. I'll take it with reverie and kind of hold it close to his heart.
It's not too late. You can still come.
I will.
Good hunting. And they turn and they start running. They start jogging off to the south.
Okay, I'm gonna watch for a while. I mean, he's just gonna be kind of lost in that.
As that's going on,
actually, he'll probably see if he can, feel
it's there.
Feel through it.
Oh, it's there. It's strong, actually.
And Finney's watching.
At this distance, honestly, Justin, I think, do you have to spend anything to enact that or no?
That's a question.
Finney's watching.
It's a...
Because we're going to get into trouble together.
I
I
guess
need to
so,
know
yeah.
that he's leaving behind.
I don't know quite how this works, so it's a spellcast ability, I think.
If it doesn't say that you have to spend a hope or that you have to tick off a stress or whatever, then it's just at will. Okay,
It's just...
that's my understanding of it.
Yeah.
Or maybe I think you have to roll. Okay, I will check all of this, guys. I know, obviously in combat,
I love when the GM's learning too.
obviously in combat, I know that you have to roll. You have to roll. I don't know if out of combat, if you still have to roll to activate that. I'll find that out though.
Yeah, I mean, it's under spellcasting stuff, I guess.
Well, and you have a trait, your spellcasting
there's
trait is
spellcast
instinct,
trait.
all of that, and
Yeah,
it should
it's
list that.
agility.
It's agility.
I mean,
Oh, because it's somatic. Oh, so it'd be a dance. Ooh. Or it would be gestures. That's why, Justin. That's why the Qatari magic didn't get fried, because it was somatic based. It still got scrambled somewhat, but the words of power. I'm giving away a little bit here, but y'all, the languages have been obliterated, so the words of power don't work anymore.
For mine, I have to mark a stress. Does it say anything like
yeah,
that? 'Cause I don't have
there's
to
more
roll
than
for
one.
mine.
So
Okay.
there's something called Apex Predator, and there's another one that says Path Forward.
Yeah, I don't
I think
think
if you had to roll, it would be listed.
I think under normal, non this world circumstances, that'd be interesting, but not necessarily profound.
But in this particular
in this
case,
particular world, it's
Yeah.
it's profound.
it's pretty hefty.
Yeah, no, that's a big deal.
I mean, that's one of the reasons that he's really intent on doing this, because he feels like he's actually got something that can really make the difference between success and failure.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's got to be a part of this. And it's if you believe in fate and everything else. I mean, we may have talked about this before. I think actually you and I probably would have been a great thing to talk about, is that this is the time to maybe kind of help remake the world in a way that's more fair to
Human,
everyone.
grounded.
Yeah, I think
I am looking forward to
They
those
would've-
conversations.
I think that hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
All right, so the reason I was asking is that asking about that was at this distance I was going to charge you anything, but it seems like you don't have to.
It doesn't look that way. I mean,
Okay.
there's...
Isolde actually is there at dawn. She's off in the distance. She does not approach you. But but she just watches. And you see she has one of the 9 pearls that her wisdom granted each of the most important cities. And it's an artifact. I mean, they're 9. Her wisdom created 9 of these artifacts that are all linked together. Among other things, it means that when Lucida is high in the sky, when it's the full moon, you don't need a moon gate to teleport. You can just teleport right to the capital, or right to any of the other 9.
I'm gonna turn to her and hold out my 2 hands and use minor illusion to have fire in one hand and ice appear in the other, and then have them just intertwine and disappear.
And she takes the pearl, which isn't guarded anymore, and all the mighty magics that would have guarded a racial artifact like that have been obliterated. So she literally just walked into the tower and took it. Because she doesn't think it belongs to anybody anymore. She sets it on the ground. And then leaves.
Marlo will approach really, really slowly and pick it up reverently and kind of turn it over in her hand. And then looks around really quickly and puts it.
You do not feel magic in it.
She'll put it, instead of in kind of the pouch where she carries her sending stone and everything, she kind of lays it in her clothes close to her chest there.
It's like this beautiful teardrop. Okay. Still perfect as all that her wisdom crafts. Your cousin, again, you've pretty much said everything that needs to be said. He grasps you as one warrior to the other, forearm to forearm, and says, "Oh, what was her last name?"
Reed.
Reed. Oh, you kept Reed. Oh, that's right. You did.
I kept the last name.
You did keep Reed. Okay.
Zeph Reed, great name.
So, that is a good name.
Great name.
He says, "All right, Reed, get your ass back here as soon as you can."
Will do.
I would wish the gods to protect you, but I don't even know who to ask. I'm gonna have that figured out by the time I see you again.
Is that your mission now?
Gotta have something, right?
Find religion.
Yeah, it's not like my reports back to Father are going to be making any time soon. So, yeah, you know what? I was going to send you something, but the world's kind of exploded, so don't worry about it. This is horribly and self-indulgent, but he has there's a tiny little scroll. He says, if you just make it back to home, you know who I want to see this. He hands it to you. Your character knows who.
Okay.
All right.
Then he says, I have no one left to say goodbye to. Let's do this.
Good thing you have some new friends to say hello to.
Ooh. And that
Then
is where...
he nods, but tucks his dagger further into his clothing.
And that is where we will pause the tale, friends. That is really good.
We're about to take off on it.
That's
I love you giving me the last word.
that's really good. Some homework except for you, because yours is going to be really hard, so I will help you with that.
Oh, jeez, Louise. Oh, yeah.
No, but is to go and make your figurine. So I do have, in case we got to combat today, because I wasn't sure.
Check out Eldritch Foundry.
Check out Eldritch Foundry, indeed.
That's fun homework.
But this is to.
You're doing 20% off for Memorial Day.
I saw it. Yeah, no, it's
got an email
it's pretty
and I was
good.
like,
Right. Tomorrow.
Is this like gaming Etsy online? Or
yeah.
I was joking.
It's basically a
They
place where
make
you make minis.
Amazing.
But
You wanted to keep Finny as a boy.
okay.
No, I mean, like, this on the pronouns, whether he, him, but...
That's complete. That's totally up to you. If you want he, him, if you want they, if you want she, it's all.
Oh, yeah, my voice is all over the place, so Finny could still be like, he, like, Ricky Valley, or,
Okay.
who knows?
Because it can be especially with ribbits, like literally all of this, Justin went with he. The default for that character is they. I was like, do Qatari, maybe they don't have gendered, like, whatever, however.
It was more like the standing upright is if I am moving like a frog person, or am I walking on two legs, or am I hopping around?
Generally ribbits would be moving, but you also could, you definitely could be hopping around.
Okay, cool.
You know what though? I like that. I like that.
In terms of just its visual, like, am I actually going around all the time like this, or is that me walking on feet, being upright? Is that new for me? Like, how did you see?
You get to decide that.
Well, that's.
I know it's going to drive you.
That's like my budget for the height of the figurine.
That's true.
So we'll probably do walking then.
Cool, gotcha.
Walking then for that. So that homework, and then I will look at those stuffs, and we will figure it all out. And I'm really glad. I know we could have jumped into the Sablewood, but the context is really important. You had to know.
Oh my god, you guys gave me so much. I feel so much more. Yeah.
So hopefully that was interesting and enlightening, or at least mildly entertaining, faraway friends. And we will figure this out. I don't know exactly when you're going to see this, but it will be sometime in the near future. And for you, it'll be right now.
you already just saw it.
It'll be in the past.
We're talking to the future.
Talking to the future.
It's dystopian, right? Aren't we like predicting the future here?
So until we see you next, thank you so much for that greatest gift of your time. We really appreciate it. Take care on your journey out there, hopefully with a little bit more of a plan than these characters have. And we will see you next time. Take care.
Why limit your imagination? In the tabletop role-playing space, customization is everything, especially when it comes to your character. Whether you're a player, a painter, or a master of tales, your character is what matters most. Using high-quality, fully customizable miniatures, you can be built for battle with Eldritch Foundry.
Greetings, weary travelers, and welcome to Constructed Chaos, a channel dedicated to all things D&D, including live play streams and podcasts, 3D printing, painting, crafting, homebrew content, and guides for players and dungeon masters alike. Join our Discord for even more special benefits, announcements, and free downloadable content. And until next time, go out there and make some chaos.